Hi everyone. Today we're talking about 3 quarters that look just like regular coins but are actually worth big money. Some people found these in their pocket change. We'll tell you what to look for so you can check your coins too. Let's talk about a coin that might be hiding in your pocket right now, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark. At first, it looks like just another regular 25-cent piece. But believe it or not, some of these coins have sold for thousands of dollars. One even sold for $4,800. So, what makes this coin so special? Let's break it down in a simple way. First, we need to understand what a mint mark is. On U.S. coins, a mint mark is a small letter that shows where the coin was made. For example, D means Denver, and S means San Francisco. If there's no mint mark at all, it usually means the coin came from Philadelphia. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In 1965, 1966, and 1967, the U.S. Mint removed all mint marks from coins. Why? Because there was a coin shortage across the country. People were saving coins, especially silver ones, thinking they'd become valuable. The government didn't want people collecting coins just because of where they were made, so they stopped putting mint marks on them during those years. That's why the 1967 quarter has no mint mark, and it wasn't a mistake. Even though millions of these quarters were made, some of them were made with extra care. These are called high-grade coins, and they look almost perfect. They still shine like new, and they have no scratches or damage. When a coin like this is found in near-perfect condition, collectors get really excited. And that's where the big money comes in. One 1967 quarter was graded MS 68, which means Mint State 68. That's one of the highest grades a coin can get. That coin sold at auction in 2020 for $4,800. That's almost $5,000 for one quarter. Of course, not all 1967 quarters are worth that much. Most are still only worth 25 cents. But if you find one that looks brand new, it might be worth checking. The better the condition, the more valuable it could be. Coin experts look for coins with sharp details, clean surfaces, and no wear or marks. Let's talk about how the 1967 quarter looks. On the front, or the heads side, you'll see a picture of George Washington, the first president of the United States. On the back, or the tails side, there's an eagle with spread wings, sitting on a bunch of arrows with olive branches below. It's a strong and classic design. The key thing to remember is that this coin's value comes from how perfect it is. If it's been in circulation and looks worn down, it's probably not worth much. But if it looks almost brand new, with full shine, sharp edges, and clear details, it might be a hidden treasure. Many people have these coins in jars, drawers, or old boxes. So next time you're looking through your spare change or helping a family member sort old coins, take a good look at any 1967 quarters you find. It might look plain, but it could be worth way more than you think. If you find one that looks special, you can send it to a coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. They will check the coin, grade it, and tell you its real value. That way, you'll know if your coin is just another quarter, or if you've got something really rare and valuable. So remember, always keep an eye on your coins. Even a simple-looking quarter from 1967 could turn out to be a big surprise. Let's talk about another rare and valuable quarter, the 1982 Washington quarter with the D mint mark. This coin was made in Denver, and even though millions were produced, some have become very special. In fact, one version of this coin has sold for as much as $4,500. That's a huge amount of money for a 25-cent coin. To understand why this coin can be worth so much, let's first look at what was happening in 1982. That year, the U.S. Mint was trying to save money. They were dealing with rising metal costs and budget issues. So they stopped making proof sets and even started using different types of coin blanks, also called planchets. A planchet is the metal disc that gets stamped to become a coin. Most quarters are supposed to be made from a copper-nickel blend and weigh about 5.67 grams. But during 1982, some coins were made using the wrong type of planchet, like ones meant for pennies or dimes. These mistakes created error coins, and that's where the value comes from. One rare example is a 1982 D-quarter struck on a dime planchet. A dime planchet is smaller and thinner than a quarter, so the coin ends up being lighter, around 2.5 grams instead of 5.67 grams. Because the planchet is too small, the edges of the design don't fit right, and some letters may even be cut off. That kind of mistake is called a wrong planchet error, and collectors love these types of coins. There are also off-center errors, where the image is not printed right in the middle of the coin. These are easy to spot and can also make a coin very valuable. The more off-center it is, without losing the date, the more money it can be worth. Some 1982 D-quarters even show signs of a doubled die, which means the design was stamped twice by accident. If you look closely, you might see doubled lines on the date, the word Liberty, or In God We Trust. These small errors can turn a regular quarter into a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, you might be wondering, how can I tell if I have a rare 1982 D-quarter? The first thing to check is the weight. If you have a small scale at home, weigh the coin. If it's much lighter than 5.67 grams, maybe closer to 2.5 or 3 grams, it could have been struck on the wrong metal. Next, look at the edges. If the ridges, called reading, are missing or look strange, that's another clue. And finally, take a close look at the details. Any signs of doubling, weird shapes, or letters that look off can be signs of a valuable error. Just like the 1967 quarter, the value of the 1982 D-quarter depends on condition and rarity. Coins that have been in circulation for years are usually worn and not worth much more than face value. But if your coin looks sharp, shiny, and clean, what collectors call mint state, it could be very valuable. A coin that's been well preserved and shows one of these rare errors could sell for a lot of money. So if you have any 1982 D-quarters lying around, don't ignore them. Take a good look. You might be holding something rare, and you wouldn't even know it until you check. Some people have found coins like these in old change jars, at garage sales, or even in vending machines. Remember, it's not just about the date on the coin. It's about the little details, the weight, the look, the mint mark, and the errors. And those small details can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Now let's talk about our third and most valuable coin on the list, the 1965 Washington quarter with no mint mark. At first, it might look like any other old quarter. But some rare versions of this coin have sold for over $15,000. Yes, that's right, $15,000 for just one quarter. So why is it so special? To understand that, we need to go back to what was happening in 1965. That year, the U.S. Mint made a big change. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. But silver had become very expensive, and people started hoarding coins just for the metal. So in 1965, the government stopped using silver in quarters. They switched to a cheaper metal blend, a copper core with a nickel outer layer. This change created some interesting problems. Some coins made in 1965 were accidentally struck on older silver planchets left over from 1964. That's a big mistake, and a big deal for collectors. If you find a 1965 quarter that was actually made of silver instead of the new copper-nickel blend, it could be worth thousands of dollars. These silver planchet errors are very rare and can sell for $5,000 to $15,000 or more, depending on condition. Another rare type of error involves the coin being struck on the wrong kind of planchet, like one made for a penny or a dime. These coins are the wrong size, the wrong weight, or even the wrong color. One 1965 quarter was struck on a penny blank and weighed only 3.11 grams instead of the usual 5.67 grams. Because of this unusual mistake, that coin sold for over $7,000. There's even a super rare version called the double tail quarter, where both sides of the coin show the eagle design. There's no head, just two tails. Only a few of these have ever been found, and one of them sold for close to $80,000. It's one of the strangest and most valuable quarters ever made. So how do you know if your 1965 quarter is special? Start with the basics. All 1965 quarters should not have a mint mark. That's normal, but what you want to check is the color and weight. If the edge of the coin looks solid silver, with no copper line showing, that could be a sign it struck on a silver planchet. Silver coins also sound different when dropped. They make a higher pitched ring compared to regular quarters. You can also weigh your coin with a small digital scale. A regular 1965 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. But if yours weighs more, around 6.25 grams, it could be a silver one, and that's a big deal. Also, check carefully for any weird details. Are both sides the same? Does the design look off-center? Are any letters or numbers missing or doubled? These could all be signs of rare mint errors, which make your coin much more valuable. If you find something unusual, you can send your coin to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll check the coin for errors, grade it, and let you know what it's really worth. So even though the 1965 quarter was one of the most common coins made, rare errors from that year can be extremely valuable. And many of them are still out there, sitting in drawers, change jars, or even in your wallet right now. That's what makes this hobby so exciting. You never know when you might find a real treasure hiding in plain sight. In conclusion, these three Washington quarters, the 1967 no mint mark, the 1982 D mint mark with errors, and the 1965 no mint mark with planchet errors, demonstrate the fascinating world of coin collecting. Their unique characteristics and historical significance make them highly valuable to collectors and investors alike. If you come across any of these coins, be sure to examine them closely and consult with a professional to determine their value. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting.